In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 10 editing mistakes that you missed in popular Marvel movies. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is very big and extremely popular, with widespread stories and so many movies that people can enjoy. There's a lot of money and production put into every single one of the Marvel movies, but at times, there have been some confusing or hilarious mistakes that have been spotted. So, let's go ahead and take a look at some of them. Number 1. One of the most unique things about the Guardians of the Galaxy series is their late 60s, early 70s soundtrack. The retro-looking cassette tapes that Peter Quill carries around with him were given to him by his mother. He listens to the music all the time as a reminder of who his mother was. But there was a mistake when choosing what kind of cassette Quill would have. His mixtapes, volumes 1 and 2, both came with him when he was abducted from the Earth by Yondu in 1988. But both cassette tapes are Type 2 Seeding 2 TDK cassettes, which didn't come out until 1993, so it was technically impossible for Quill to have them. The movie's prop guy clearly didn't do proper research and wanted something that looked retro, so he chose them. Number 2. During the big highway fight scene between the Avengers and Ultron, Captain America jumps on top of a moving truck to fight the robot. It's a pretty badass move, showing that Captain America really is fearless. After Ultron hits Cap off the truck, he does a quick move and swings from a bus back onto the truck. While he's dodging shots from Ultron's minions, we get a quick blink and you miss it shot of Cap swinging around the truck, and you can see a cable attached to him that wasn't properly edited out of the shot. Number 3. The final scene of the Avengers, after the team has just saved the world from an alien invasion, we see Steve Rogers hop onto his motorcycle and ride off into the sunset. Behind him, we can see a background flying by at high speeds, but Steve's hair remains perfectly still and in place without the wind rustling it even one little bit. Either he has some very strong hair gel, or this was a mistake in editing. Most likely it was the mistake. Chris Evans was likely sat on a stationary bike in front of a blue screen, and the background was added in post-production to avoid any possible injury of him riding around on a real motorcycle. Number 4. During the Iron Man movie, Obadiah Stane stuns Tony Stark with a device that completely paralyzed him for a short period of time. We can see that there is blood coming out of Tony's ears, which would indicate a ruptured eardrum or a brain hemorrhage. Whatever the case may be, Tony was in a pretty bad state. However, within the very next shot, when we see him crawling to his garage to retrieve his old arc reactor, the blood is completely gone. It's very unlikely that Tony would have had time to clean himself up while he was desperately making his way around his house while at the brink of death, so what happened to this blood? It seems like a ridiculously big deal for the editors to miss this. Number 5. During the Battle of New York, the city is riddled with bad guys, and the Avengers are trying to save the world. Dozens of cars are flipped over, and at one point during the battle, Thor takes cover behind one. The car is completely beaten up and flipped over with dents all over it, but when the shot pans out, everything changes. Every single dent and scratch is gone. All the broken pieces also vanished, and it looks like a brand new car altogether. This was either a CGI mistake or an entirely different car was used for this second shot. Number 6. During Spider-Man Homecoming, we get a recap of Spider-Man's first fight in the airport during Captain America Civil War. We see it through Peter's eyes as he vlogs the entire encounter on his phone. The only problem is, within the vlog, during the beginning of the shot, Peter webs Captain America's shield and lands behind him saying, "Hey everyone," but it didn't actually happen that way. In the actual scene from Captain America Civil War, Spider-Man lands and says nothing. Tony Stark says, "Nice shot, kid," and Peter responds with a very awkward line. Number 7. For a superhero like Captain America that is based all around a nation's flag, there are a lot of problems with flags in the movies. In Captain America: The First Avenger, when Steve and Bucky go to Howard Stark's World Expo, the national flag of the Bahamas can be seen hanging behind the American flag. This is a huge mistake, as the Bahamian flag wasn't created until 1973, and Captain America: The First Avenger takes place in the late 30s. Number 8. The Battle of New York during the Avengers movie was a massive sequence of scenes all threaded together to make a perfect, exciting, thrilling battle. However, there were quite a lot of mistakes during this battle scene, as we've already gone over some of them in this video, but now we're going to go over another. During the battle, Captain America's suit takes a lot of damage. However, when the Avengers return to Stark Tower to catch Loki, his suit is perfectly undamaged, despite the damage to his shield still remaining. Since they had a lot of suits for Evans to go through, they probably just gave him the wrong one for this shot. Number 9. In the final events of Ant-Man, the team infiltrates their way into Darren Cross's building, but eventually they're found out and a fight breaks out. Cross puts a gun to Scott's head, but before he's able to pull the trigger, Scott summons his army of ants to block the gun's hammer, therefore preventing the gun from firing. Putting aside the fact that Cross should have been able to see that there were huge ants crawling on his gun, the entire scene up to this point showed that Cross was using a Glock, which doesn't have an external hammer. Even for people that know nothing about guns, you can see that there are no hammers in every shot of the gun before this close-up, so this was a pretty silly mistake. Number 10. And last but not least, we have probably one of the biggest mistakes from the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. In one of the first scenes from Iron Man, Tony Stark shows off his Jericho missile as he launches it into the desert. We see the explosion just after we hear it, and this is a huge mistake, and it's physically impossible for that to happen. Light travels faster than sound after all. However, the Iron Man movie isn't the only time that this kind of thing happens. At every single point when Thor does a sonic boom with his hammer, the sound coincides perfectly with the boom itself, no matter how far away he is. The same thing also happens with most explosions in each of the movies, no matter the distance. We can hear all the explosions and laser blasts in both the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, despite sound not being able to travel in space. So, altogether, the idea behind explosions and sound is just completely wrong in all the movies. That's all for today though. What'd you guys think of this list? Let us know in the comments if you noticed any other mistakes from the Marvel movies. With that being said, this is the end of the video, so we will see you in the next one.